Let me welcome you. If you just tune in, this is the Justice Forum. It's a program designed for you and with you in mind. We come here each week deliberating on a wide range of issues that tend to shape the destiny of our one world. The Justice Forum is here each week, and we come here bringing you wide range of issues that have to do with humanity in general, issues of relevance to the state of affairs of our global community. What an interesting way to welcome you this wonderful day. Those of you who just joined us, it's good to be here as we can reflectively share these quiet and sacred moments together. Our hope and our prayer is that a guest, our distinguished guest, would join us today. We had a situation the last time where we did not make it to get Council of Radio through. And it was our hope and our anticipation that today we can be able to look at relevant issues of national and international concern, especially with specific reference to what's happening in the West African state of Liberia. The state of good governance, justice, human rights in that West African country is what we thought we could be able to bring under discussion tonight. We could deliberate on this day to see what's prevailing in the country and what needs to be done to bring about the change that is relatively needed, absolutely needed, urgently needed to ensure civility and to make sure that the nation state can be able to gravitate from a cloud of darkness, gravitate from a cloud of ambiguity, and to make sure that stability can continue to be the hallmark of governance in Liberia. Let me welcome you if you just joined us. My name is Zeze Pade, and I'm your host for the show. That we can be able to look at the aspect of governance today. Like Inter earlier mentioned from the very beginning, our hope and prayer is that our special guest will be able to join us today as we examine the state of good governance, justice, and human rights in Liberia. However, in the meantime, let me bring your attention or draw our attention to some of the prevailing issues in the country that we thought we could be able to highlight, to look at, to put under the microscope, to examine, to see and to raise some of the moral questions. Why are these things taking place? What needs to be done to bring about the change that is absolutely and vitally necessary? That Liberians, irrespective of where they are within the context of the global community, can be able to live in relative peace, relative calm, and they can be able to enjoy the very best, and they can aspire to be what God has called them to be. And that is the emphasis of our conversation today. I will make a monologue in the meantime as we await Councillor Jerome Verdier to join us this evening. One of the things that has puzzled me over the months and over the years since the ascendancy of the Weah-led administration is the issue that has to do with unresolved deaths, unresolved killings, unresolved murders, murders that are taking place throughout the length and breadth of the country, especially within the context of Monrovia. These things that are happening, and that when there's no redress, families of these individuals who have a right to live, who have that genuine right to live as Liberians, the genuine right to live as human beings, and in keeping with the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, as guaranteed by the Geneva Convention, of which or for which Liberia is a signatory. And I think it behooves all of us, many of us, and all Liberians who know where we've come from to where we are, to begin to clearly look at these issues from a holistic standpoint, from a justice standpoint, from a standpoint that is rooted, grounded in righteousness, in fairness, and in equity. That brings me to the recent uh, murder, if I may say, of the daughter of the former Chief Justice of the Republic of Liberia, Chalo, Chalo Musu, uh, the gruesome way in which she met her end is that glaring reminder that is taking some of us back to probably 25 to 30 years ago, examining the state of affairs of Liberia, what we went through, what we experienced, the purpose, the reason why we gravitated and degenerated to that level of instability in the country. When people within the student community were taken advantage of, when people within certain ethnic group within the social confines of Liberia were taken advantage of, when dead bodies could be seen all around the country, when innocent people, innocent babies were being killed, were being slaughtered, pregnant women, in the midst of all those adversities, the Doe administration could not pay keen attention to what was happening. It felt that it had monopoly over violence. And as a consequence, we heard and learned of the uprising of December 24th, 1989. We all know that history. Many of us do know that history. Many of us know the challenges we encounter. Many of us know the difficulties we endure. So, this is where we are today as a nation state, having gone through all that we experience, all the difficulties we encounter, all the challenges, the deaths, the displacement of people. People were made to go into exile. These circumstances are part of the Liberian pathology that should be able to speak to many of us to understand that we cannot, and we will not take this anymore as a people. And it behooves all of us who are peace-loving people of Liberia, to realize that our common patrimony is the nation state of Liberia, and what needs to be done to bring about equity, to bring about justice, to bring about equality, to ensure that those who are vulnerable, Those ordinary citizens of Liberia can have an opportunity, the opportunity to live in peace and decency. They can have the opportunity to be able to speak, freedom of speech, to speak their mind and say what they believe is the truth. And we may not have the same way of thinking. We may have diversion of opinions, diverse, background that we all come from, either political, religious, or whatever it is. But those are virtues, values. They are values that are guaranteed under the Constitution of Liberia. And it behooves us to understand that we have to make progress. We have to make progress for the benefit of Liberia. We have to make progress for the benefit of the little children. We have to make progress for the benefit of those who are unborn. And even those today who are characterized as Zogos and the left out, the vulnerable, the broken, the afflicted, that we can be able to create an avenue through which all Liberians, irrespective of where they come from, that indeed this issue surrounding what is prevailing in our country, that we can be able to do those rightful things to bring about justice and equity. So let's begin with the whole concept and the idea around good governance. What is it about? Those good practices that we are called and urged to follow. If we work within the context, the global context, as a part of the Committee of Nations, those virtues that we must uphold: transparency, limiting corruption. And that brings me into just the recent conversation made or statement by the outgoing American ambassador, Ambassador McCarthy, stressing the fact that there are many. He was not pointedly clear. He could not pointedly state or point to say this is the person that he was talking to, but the notion, and from my listening, was that there are Liberians in the diaspora community who indeed he characterized as people who are bringing trouble to Liberia, who are speaking on issues that are not genuine or are not credible, or engaging in acts that are unbecoming due to the proliferation of social media and the casualties associated with it. What needs to be done? Questioning the validity of Liberians in the diaspora community. The diaspora community is a very huge community. But I think those are issues that even our partners, along with those within government, can be able to crystallize and begin to look into it from a very critical standpoint, to realize that the media, Liberian media in general, since the onset of the war, has been hampered, underdeveloped, and is challenged. And the brain drain is something that we know is part of the prevailing situation. What needs to be done at this particular time, at this critical stage, to be able to create an avenue through which there will be media training, that the media to some level will be strengthened, capacitated, and an avenue through which that can be created to make sure that the media is indeed reporting the truth. Look at the landscape of the Liberian media right now. I'm talking about within the context of the Liberian political pathology, within the context and within the social confines of the territorial confines of the Republic of Liberia in terms of the media landscape. It's going to take a considerable level of engagement and capacity building to be able to get the media to where it ought to be, or take it to a pre-war status. That is a very challenging proposition. So how is it that the media, if the media is not informed, is not strategically empowered, is not trained, that it will be able to do those things that are expected and required of it from an ethical, professional, and a theoretical standpoint as to the responsibility that is given to the watchdog of society. So, I mean, I vividly remember that Ambassador McCarthy spoke about that. But I think that's where we need to begin. And the American embassy, or the State Department, or the American ambassador who happens to be an employee of ours, well, we are taxpayers here. So, I mean, we know what it is, and we are the ones. It is our money that is being used on what is it that the State Department engages in from country to country. So, as citizens, we do have that moral and ethical and constitutional right, as guaranteed by the American Constitution, to question or raise a moral question with our ambassador, to be clear, to give us some clarity as to what was he trying to say when he talked about the issue of people using their studios and affluent offices within the diaspora community to spew venom on what is prevailing in Liberia in terms of agitating the populace. For some of us who believe in freedom, for some of us who believe in justice, some of us who believe in equality, then one can clearly delineate that we did not see or understand vividly what the ambassador was trying to pontificate. But I mean, that is within the context of the ambassador's responsibility as a foreign policy advisor who will speak on national issues, especially when it comes to foreign policy matters in the Liberian context. And that's not the only thing the ambassador raised. I agree that the ambassador was critical in that aspect of it concerning some members within the diaspora community, but the ambassador, I think, needs to be as clear as possible to let us know. But he did not stop there. The American ambassador did not stop there. He went on to challenge. He went on to challenge those in authority, to challenge those within the scope of the three branches of government, urging them to be able to do those things that are required of them. The things that the people elected them for, the responsibility that is given to them in keeping with the constitutional context of the Liberian Republic. We don't just come to a position or to a responsibility as a representative of the people, either within the context of the House or the Senate. People are elected, people are voted for. And Liberians need to be as clear as possible that these individuals who should be standing up for you, these individuals who should be making sure that they come to public service is not about exploitation. Public service is not about corruption. Public service is about selfless service. And when people come to public service, they come to serve, keeping in mind that those who lead must first be servants. That is what public service is about. I could call my senator or my representative here within this particular district, within the 13th district of of Pennsylvania, to be able to say, we are the taxpayers, and I can challenge my representative within the context of not only geopolitics, but within the framework of the American Constitution that gave me the power as a taxpayer and as a person who has hired the representative of the taxing district within the congressional district of Western Pennsylvania. As a resident, I have that moral clarity and that moral responsibility. So our people need to open their eyes to begin to see that, look, Liberia is a country that belongs to all of us, irrespective of whether we are there or not. The question is, if you have a government that is sincere, a government that is concerned about the needs and the aspirations of the people, then that government must be tapping into the talented tapestry of the diaspora community that is so affluent, that is trained, that is full of technocrats, to begin to play a role that is pivotal to sustainability, making sure that Liberia is a nation that is pristine, that we can we can respect the rule of law, we can genuinely commit to the things that we've been called upon to do as a nation state, that those who have that moral responsibility, those who are elected by the people, for the people, can be able to take a stand in representing the interests of their people. That representation, taxation without representation is not a democracy that we seek. It's not taxation. It's not the participatory process that we advocate. So that those who are the taxpayers have a moral and ethical responsibility to challenge those who are in power, those who hold the seat of government, of governance, to be able to adequately address these issues. Now, on the question of human rights violations, and I think it's troubling, quite troubling to see what is happening, what has transpired when we talk about the unresolved murders that have taken place in the country. I mean, the list is long. The list is quite long. I could go on and on. The three auditors, Princess Cooper, journalist Zinni Miller. I mean, it's the recent death of Chalo Musu, Princess Cooper. And you could go on and on and on. All of these murders that have taken place. Here we are today, the three missing boys. Blamo Jr., 29, CFR, Bana, Boyma, Bobby S. All of these young people in the former district who disappeared in the thin air. Today, the parents of these young people are still complaining. And human rights advocates in Liberia need to take a stand, need to stand up, need to speak truth to power, need to urge those of our international partners to understand that what is prevailing in Liberia is something that is unwarranted. And we as a people cannot, will not take it anymore. When all these things are prevailing in the country, pretty tell me, where in the world are you going to talk about trying to encourage, let's take, for instance, investors who come from different parts of the world, investors who are interested in going to anywhere in the world where there's stability and security. I mean, it's just become quite impossible, literally impossible, if you do not have the rule of law. And if justice is not being mitigated the way it should. And if insecurity is a major problem, I cannot fathom how possible it is that you as a nation state will be able to get investors who will have interests, looking at that capital they have to take to invest in the place that has created all of the time issues of insecurity and the dignity and the rights of citizens not protected. Here we are today. The former Chief Justice is crying. The family is yearning. The family is asking. Chalo Musu, as far as we are concerned, her body is seized, and the Liberian government, as far as we are concerned, from what we've gathered, is not willing, not prepared to be able to turn over the body of this wonderful young lady who was taking advantage of, vehemently abused her rights, not protected, and gruesomely murdered. Gotta tell me, this is where we found ourselves as a nation state. This is where we are. Have we forgotten? Have we forgotten as a nation state? Have we forgotten where we came from? Have we forgotten what led to the Civil War? Have we forgotten the bloodshed? Liberians, we want to be realistic here today. I want to use this opportunity, frankly, use this opportunity to speak to the conscience of the nation. Liberians have to take a stand for the betterment of their country. Liberians have to take a proactive stand for the betterment of their country. Liberians have to realize that they have their own future in their own hands. Nobody gonna do it for us. Mass resistance is what's needed in the country. The reawakening of the minds of the people to understand, to realize that the country is at the brink of collapse. Something must be done. If not, the next generation is doomed, brothers and sisters. That's the reality. And it's good that we can speak to it today. So I want to make a moral call. The moral call will go to the church, the conscience of society. The moral call will go to the Liberian Council of Churches. The moral call is to those who are behind the pulpits every Sunday throughout the length and breadth of Liberia. The moral call is to you today. Why have you remained so silent when you see your children are pillaging? Why are you so silent? What are you afraid of? What has become of the nation? That these moral challenges that the nation faces, like the unexplained deaths, the unexplained murders, the failure of the rule of law to give justice to all, equal justice. The family of Gloria Musu-Scott is yearning and crying and wailing today. Let's be realistic, brothers and sisters. This is far beyond any one individual. This is far beyond what is prevailing in the country. We must we must we must keep at the bedrock of our faith. We must keep at the bedrock of that determinative spirit to realize that we as a people cannot we cannot continue to be a nation without justice, a nation without peace, a nation without reconciliation, a nation in which the poor will be taken advantage of. Pastor Martin Namola is speaking to us today. When he raised the question on the poem First the King for me, it's a deep reflection of the situation in Germany during the time of Hitler. The poem First the King for me. He goes on to say, First the King for the communists, and I did not speak out because I was not a communist. And it came for the socialists. I did not speak out because I was not a socialist. It came for the trade unionists. And I did not speak out because I was not a trade unionist. Then it came for the Jews. And I did not speak out because I was not a Jew. Then they came for me, and there was no one left to speak out for me. That's the situation today. The situation today we have in the motherland, the situation today we find in Liberia, the situation today that is creating the havoc and the mayhem, the sorrows that will never cease. The unexplained deaths in Liberia must end. The rule of law must be strengthened. Good governance from a strategic standpoint must be encouraged. If Liberia is to set the path to a nation built on the principles, on ethical principles of equality, justice, and freedom. That's the call today. That's the moral obligation, the moral responsibility we have today. And I genuinely and sincerely want to use this opportunity to extend our heartfelt condolences to the former Chief Justice and her entire family, Gloria Musu-Scott, for Chalo Musu, a young, promising woman, a young woman that has put in all the time, genuinely committing herself to education. I learned that she recently took her clearance to her mother, to the family. Here we are today as we sit here and speak about her remains. It's confiscated. That's all I can call it. It's confiscated. Confiscated at the St. Moses funeral home, from what I learned. What has become of us, Liberians? How brutal, how genuine can we be? How determined can we be? How constructively can we see and treat our brothers and sisters, keeping in mind where we've come from war to peace? How genuinely can we be? How genuinely can we be able to bring an everlasting closure to the death of the three auditors, Princess Cooper, journalist Zinni Miller, Carlo Musu? I mean, the list goes on and on and on. I mean, the sons of the two former presidents, William Richard Talbot and that of William V. Studman. Those are unsolved murders that have taken place in the country in just a relative short period of time. Fellow citizens, this net man Mazan. Liberia is all that we have. Liberia is all that we seek. And for many of us, if good governance cannot exist, If justice is not provided for the people, for the ordinary folks, justice should be blind. And if human rights in the country is not protected, then my brothers and sisters, I'm afraid we are on a slopeless, a very slippery slope. It has to change for the better. And my appeal tonight will be to all stakeholders, wherever you are, all stakeholders, wherever you are, this is the time to come together. This is the time that we can encourage fair play. This is the time that we as Liberians can begin to critically imagine what will become of the land in the midst of despair. Oh, yes, there are many long nights. There are many long days. Oh, students I talk to. I mean, even when they talk about the issue of justice with the recent incident at the University of Liberia, a government official who is becoming so irresponsible can go to an extent of attacking, taking mobs, talks to the campus of the University of Liberia to rage mayhem on the student community. This is abnormal. This is not decency. This is not normality. But I think we've gotten to the point where violence has been normalized within the social context and the socio-political pathology of the country that many are left wondering which way Liberia, which way to go. How do we gravitate to that moral ground? And that's the call today I want to leave with the Liberian Council of Churches. You have that moral and ethical responsibility. The Muslim community, you have that ethical and moral responsibility. The faith community, the Baha'i community. And it goes on and on. All people who believe in a supreme being that see justice, equity, and the rule of law to be crucial elements towards the sustainability of a democratic process in any given society. When we lack that, we finish. Something must be done. Something must be done by Liberians and those of us who are within the context of the diaspora community. It behooves us now to begin to contemplate on what is it that we must do morally, strategically, to engage with our leaders in the United States, with our leaders in Liberia, with organizers, with civic leaders, with church leaders. And it's mind-boggling to see where the church is. The church is so complicit that it's quite difficult to comprehend what's taking place in the nation state. And it reminds me, all of the time I go to sleep, I begin to think about Bishop Michael Pakala Francis. Where is he today? I guess he's rolling in his grave. Where is Bishop Brown today? He's rolling in his grave. To see what's prevailing and the church as a moral leader, moral conscience of society can sit supinely and can melt and act as if to say this thing that is prevailing in this country. There's nothing happening. Fellow Liberians, we've come a long way. We've come a long way. We come a long way. We must work together to bring about the change that is needed. We come a long way. We must do all we can to make sure that the rights of people are protected. We come a long way. We come a long way to ensure that those students who hold the future of the country are given human dignity, are protected under the Constitution and the rule of law of the country. It really doesn't matter where you come from. It doesn't matter where you come from. It doesn't matter what political group you belong to. We are all Liberians. And if we are all Liberians and we are part of that particular committee of nations, what is expected of us is to do right to each other, treat the vulnerable better, treat those who have that God-given right. They are just as equal as we are. It really doesn't matter where you come from. Liberians, the call is today. I am grateful. I'm grateful that you could join us today. And I must apologize for the second time. We were not able to get the Council of Radio this evening on the show. We, due to some circumstances, unavoidable circumstances, we could not get him on today. And I would take that beating. I must sincerely and genuinely apologize to all of you, because we had given you the assurance that we were going to have him on today. But brothers and sisters, please, I want to use this opportunity to say, please bear with us, that we will continue to expand on this conversation, the conversation around the state of good governance, justice, and human rights in Liberia, and why is it needed? Why is it needed? Why we need it? Why our people must be at peace? And these elections that are coming, realistically, if they are not done in good faith, if they are not done properly, they are not done within that particular social context of justice, transparency, I'm afraid we are headed on a narrow path. We are headed on a narrow path. For the family of Chief Justice Gloria Musu-Scott, we genuinely and sincerely apologize. Our heartfelt condolences to you. Those who have that moral responsibility, should take heed and realize that today it is the trade unionists that they have come for. That today it is Gloria Musu-Scott that they have come for. Yesterday it was Emmanuel Batha Yenswa that they came for. The day before it was Gifty Lamar that they came for. And the list goes on and on. Princess Cooper. Countless. My brothers and sisters, why can we get along? Why can we reason together? Why can we understand that this country is the only patrimony God has given us? Why can't we treat other people with decency? To realize that irrespective of the views they hold, irrespective of their political leanings, irrespective of their ideological concepts, we are all children of God and children of Liberia. Can we take that today? Can we take that into heart today? Can we consciously deliberate on that? Can we consciously reflect on that? Can we see what's happening to the land? Can we realize what it means to be a Liberian? Can we see that? If we can see that, if we can reason together, then the state of good governance, justice, and human rights in Liberia must be strengthening. Right now, it's in the toilet. Right now, it's in a dilapidated state. Right now, it has an image problem. And realistically, brothers and sisters, it's not the way to go. Let me thank you tonight for being a part of our show. We're going to wrap up this edition of the Justice Forum. I sincerely and genuinely apologize to all of you that we were not able to get Councilor Brady here this evening. Due to unavoidable circumstances, we try our best to reach out, and that we did not get the counselor. So here we are. But we thought it was expedient. It was an interesting conversation, and that our hope and prayer is that we can open the lines next time. That's what we're going to do. Open the lines next time, so that those of you who have a comment, those who want to share, that you can be able to call in and give us your take as to where we find ourselves as a nation state and what we need to do together to bring about peace and reconciliation in Liberia. Realistically, we need to do that. We are under the moral and ethical obligation to do so. Believe it or not, Liberia is all we have. Let me thank you, brothers and sisters, for listening today. Let me thank you for the opportunity to be in tune to us. We want to thank you. We take your feedback, your comments. We appreciate them on the Justice Forum, a program designed for you and with you in mind. We discuss a wide range of issues that tend to shape the destiny of our one world. Today, the topic we had, the state of good governance, justice, and human rights in Liberia on the Christian Vision Broadcasting Network. I must apologize sincerely. Our special guest, Councilor Jerome Verdia, did not make it in tonight. I will thank you. I salute you. And for all of our brothers and sisters in our West African state of Liberia, I say, keep on with the struggle until total victory and final victory is won. And you have that moral responsibility, you have that moral call, and that moral clarity. Come October 2023 to vote. Vote your conscience and make Liberia what it ought to be. I want to thank you so much for listening, brothers and sisters. Sese Wipugi Pada is the name. It's been great being here today. We'll be back again another time for Justice Forum. Till then, so long. Take care.